Welcome back to Nonstop Recap. Today we'll be going over the 2018 spy thriller Red Sparrow. The film opens on Russian ballerina Dominika, who we soon learn is her ailing mother's primary caretaker. While Dominika takes her mother to a routine doctor's visit, CIA agent Nate Nash receives encrypted orders over the phone before heading out to a bar. Dominika gets dolled up and leaves her mother with hired help as she leaves for the ballet, where her uncle Vanya introduces her to a creepy man named Dmitri. As Nate leaves the bar and stalks through the city streets, Dominika takes the stage as the ballet's star performer. Nate eventually meets his contact, a Russian mole named Marble, in Gorky Park. Marble is almost stopped by police, but Nate lures the cops into a chase, which ends at the American embassy. At the ballet, Dominika's dance partner Konstantin missteps and horribly shatters her leg. She undergoes surgery while Nate's superiors chastise him for causing a scene and drawing unwanted police attention to his contact. As deputy director of the SVR, Vanya also becomes aware of the incident in the park. The SVR desperately wants to find the mole. Meanwhile, Dominika wakes up in the hospital with her leg in a halo and begins weeping before an ominous title drop. 3 months later, Vanya visits Dominique to discuss her financial situation. The theater's been paying for her mother's medical bills, but likely won't continue as she's now been replaced. Vanya says he can help and leaves her with a recording that reveals Konstantin intentionally broke Dominika's leg so his lover Sonia could replace her. Dominika follows Konstantin and Sonia through the theater before interrupting a lovemaking session to brutally attack them, breaking Sonia's jaw in the process. Riding the bus home, she notices blood on her hands before stopping at a payphone to report their injuries as an accident. When she gets home, she finds her mother fallen on the floor and learns the theater has stopped paying for her caretaker. She goes to meet with Vanya about his offer, and he says that the government is interested in Dmitri and he wants Dominika to earn his trust. Vanya sets Dominika up at Dmitri's hotel with a sexy dress and a bugged phone. She goes down to the bar where she immediately catches Dmitri's attention and brings him up to her room. After dry heaving in the bathroom for a bit, Dominika dismisses Dmitri's bodyguards. Dmitri orders her to undress and then lustfully caresses her surgery scar. She decides not to follow through with the seduction, but Dmitri violently tries to rape her. SVR operative Sergei Matorin shows up, brutally garroting Dmitri and sneaking Dominika out of the hotel. Dominika is brought to an interrogation room where Vanya is initially ordered by General Korchnoi to kill Dominika as a witness to Dmitri's death, but he tells Korchnoi she can be trusted. Vanya tells Dominika that her only options are to be killed or to enter a training school for Russian seduction agents known as Sparrows. Dominika tells her mother, who says she's never trusted Vanya. At State School 4, Dominika meets Matron, who assigns her an alias and tells her she'll be killed if she fails training. In class, Matron explains that the Sparrows' greatest weapons are seduction and psychological manipulation. She orders Dominika and another student to undress, but Dominika silently refuses. Back in the States, Nate is suspended from foreign duties, but he tells his superiors that Marble won't work with anybody else. We see the Sparrows undergo a series of physical and mental exercises that include watching adult videos. Dominika shows herself to be gifted at profiling targets, as does her classmate Anya. Matron then calls Anya to the front of the class and orders her to pleasure a man she finds repulsive, but Anya refuses and breaks down in tears. Matron uses Anya to teach the students about faking arousal. Meanwhile, Nate notices he's being tailed. He informs his superiors, who tell him that Marble has gone silent. They agree to put him back in Russia, hoping the attention brought by his tail will draw Marble out of hiding so they can set him up with another agent. Matron orders the Sparrows to satisfy a group of Russian soldiers on leave, and Dominika takes a shy man named Pyotr back to her room to pleasure him. The class watches a recording of the encounter, and Matron notes that Dominika prefers prefers to maintain dominance. Later, classmate Nikolai assaults Dominika in the shower, and she beats him bloody with a broken shower handle. Vanya and his superiors meet over how to handle Nate's return to Europe, and Vanya suggests that Nate may be emotionally exploitable. Matron and Korchnoi chastise Dominika for injuring Nikolai and remind her that her life depends on completing training successfully. Dominika is then ordered to pleasure Nikolai in front of the class. She undresses, but then mocks Nikolai when he's unable to become aroused. Later, Matron informs Dominika that she's been tapped for deployment in Moscow. Dominika returns home to visit her mother and tells her she plans to escape Vanya's control. She meets with Vanya, who assigns her to learn the mole's identity from Nate. She accuses Vanya of turning her into a prostitute and leaves without eating. Dominika arrives in Budapest, where she's to live with fellow Sparrow Marta. She then meets with Chief Volantov, who provides her with Nate's file. Dominika tails Nate for a while and dyes her hair with help from Marta. She signs up for a membership at Nate's pool, where she catches his attention. He asks her out to dinner, but she turns him down. The next day, her membership ID goes missing, and we learn Nate stole it. He reveals Dominika's identity to the CIA and tells his boss Trish that he thinks Dominika can be recruited. Meanwhile, Dominika asks Volantov to get her into an event at the American Embassy. At the event, Dominika sees Marta with Stephanie Boucher, an American senator's chief of staff. Nate comes clean about knowing Dominika's identity, and they flirt a bit before agreeing to meet for dinner. At home, Dominika breaks into Marta's room, where she finds evidence that Marta's been working Boucher for American intel. When Marta gets home, she informs Dominika that Volantov has filed an unfavorable report about her with the SVR. Dominika tails Chief Volantov to a strip club, where she meets him at the bar and requests a more positive report. She begins to seduce him, but then insults his tiny member. He assaults her, which she uses as blackmail to have him change his report. Dominika blows off her dinner with Mate and follows him home, where he receives orders to go to Vienna. Dominika goes up to his apartment pretending to cry over Volantov's assault, but Nate sends her home after she tries to kiss him. The next day, Dominika breaks into Nate's place and steals a tumbler. When she arrives home, Vanya tells her that the SVR is getting impatient with her progress. She claims to be working with Marta on the chief of staff and requests $250,000 to purchase intel. Marta overhears and angrily confronts Dominika, but Dominika convinces Marta to work with her and tells her about Dimitri's murder. Dominika takes the train to Vienna, where she cases the bank. Meanwhile, Marta meets with Volantov to discuss getting rid of Dominika. Dominika shows up to the bank later, claiming to need an account. When Dominika returns home, she finds Marta's mutilated body in the tub, and Matorin warns her not to tell anybody else about Dimitri. Nate brings Trish a file on Dominika proving that she's a Sparrow, and he's warned not to trust anything she says. A detective questions Dominika about Marta's death and suspects that she knows more than she's letting on. When she leaves the station, Nate is waiting outside. He brings her home and tells Dominika that he knows she's a Sparrow. Having learned nothing from Marta's death, she immediately tells him about Dimitri. She also tells Nate about her mission, and he asks her to work with the CIA by giving him access to Vanya. They sleep together, and in the morning, she agrees to his request. Nate gives her instructions to write a fake report to the SVR, and then the CIA calls her in for a polygraph. Afterward, she offers to give them Boucher in return for $30,000. Dominika flies to London to meet Boucher, and Volantov shows up unexpectedly. Dominika orders him to hide in her room until Boucher shows up. Boucher arrives drunk, and Dominika brings her upstairs, where she exchanges the cash from Vanya for a set of discs. Dominika switches the discs with duplicates hidden by the CIA, but Volantov gets suspicious, so Trish swings by the room to cause a distraction. Dominika leaves with Volantov, and a CIA tail follows after. Boucher takes the money downstairs and ditches it when she sees she's being followed. Before she can be taken into custody, she backs into the street and gets hit by by a truck. Meanwhile, Volantov receives a call to take Dominika back to the SVR. Trish calls Nate to tell him about Boucher and that she suspects Dominika may be in trouble. Nate follows Dominika and Volantov to the airport, but he's unable to stop them from departing. Dominika's taken to an interrogation room where Vanya takes the fake discs from Volantov and sends him away. Dominika is tortured and interrogated, but she denies any involvement with the CIA. Her interrogator shows her a video of Volantov being killed for refusing to cooperate, before giving her one last chance to answer at gunpoint. Dominika again denies any wrongdoing, and her interrogator pulls the trigger, revealing the pistol to be empty. Vanya enters and tells Dominika that she won't receive mercy unless she comes clean, but she begs to finish her mission with Nate. She's released and goes to visit her mother, while Vanya is informed that the SVR no longer has faith in Dominika. He agrees to have her killed if they can prove that she's betrayed them. Dominika cleans herself up and goes to visit her uncle, who, it's revealed, is sexually attracted to her. She then has an emotional reunion with Nate and asks him if the CIA can help her and her mother escape to America. Dominika also requests an additional $250,000 in payment, and she and Nate seal the deal by making love in the kitchen. She later wakes up to find Nate being strangled by Matoran. She zip ties Nate to his chair and plays along with Nate's torture and interrogation before attacking Matoran and freeing Nate. Matoran wounds them both, but Dominika ultimately kills him. Nate tells her to call the embassy for help. Dominika recovers in the hospital, where General Korchnoi visits and reveals himself to be the mole. He tells Dominika that turning him in would regain the SVR's trust and allow her to take over his role. Dominika leaves the hospital and buys a burner phone. She calls her mother, but says nothing. She then turns herself in to the Hungarian police and asks to speak with the Russian ambassador. She tells him that she has the mole's identity, which she then relates to the director of the SVR. Dominika is taken to an airfield where the CIA plans to exchange her to Russia in return for the mole. Nate initially feels betrayed by Dominika until it's revealed that she has spared Korchnoi by framing Vanya. In flashbacks, we see that Dominika framed Vanya by planting the glass from Nate's apartment and by creating a bank account in his name to receive funds from the Americans. Vanya is assassinated during the exchange, and Dominika returns to Russia. She is praised at a military ceremony attended by Korchnoi and the matron before returning home with her mother. She later attends the ballet, but leaves before the final curtain. At home, the phone rings, but we hear no voice on the other end. As the mystery caller plays Dominika's favorite song, we're left to assume that the caller is none other than Nate. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more.